This is a battery-powered tire inflator. So I was sent this to review for free. MSRP on it is about $75. I've seen it with a coupon for $60. So, you know, if you were looking to buy it yourself, it would cost you probably somewhere between $60 and $75. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. So this is the H4Pro AUXBEAM inflator. So it has car tires, motorcycle tires, bicycle tires, and sports balls. On the back here it says, hey, long press for power on, 4 preset inflation modes, and then there's smart inflate with automatic stop, and you can customize, set the pressure. It says its power is 80 watts, the charging time is 2 to 3 hours, has a 5.2 amp hour battery, and then it says 19 liters per minute. And so the inflation time, it says about 8 minutes for a 195/65 R15 tire from empty to full. So you know, a 15-inch tire is a relatively small tire, so if you have a larger car tire, it's going to be longer than 8 minutes. So it's not super fast, but it's better than nothing. I was going to say it was a nice touch having this thing to put your finger in, but even getting your finger in there, it's really hard to pull things out. Okay, so in the box we had this little box with accessories that was difficult to pull out, and it looks like that has a storage bag and a couple of different power cords. So we have here a 12-volt to run this guy off of your car's cigarette lighter port. And that looks to be a pretty good length of cable. It might be enough to get it out near a tire. And then we have this guy here, which is a USB A to C cable. So apparently it also charges via USB-C. They have this kind of reflective sticker that you can put on something. And this is the main unit itself here. And so it has on the top, it looks like a flashlight, a Type-C input, a USB-A output, the air hose connection, so this air hose will screw into that, and it has a DC 12-volt power port, which I'm assuming is DC 12-volt in from your car. So it also comes with these 4 little adapters. There's kind of a ball needle adapter, a Presta bike tube adapter, and then kind of 2 plastic adapters for blowing up things with different sized holes that those plastic things might go into. Okay, model number is H4Pro, maximum 150 psi, 5.2 amp hours. It says its input voltage is Type-C and it does 5 volts at 2 amps, and the output voltage on the USB-A port is 5 volts at 2 amps. DC in is 12 volts, so it looks like that's a DC in 12 volt. It has a little kind of rubberized hanging strap here. It has 4 feet there, and then it has the control panel here. So first I'm going to screw this air hose in the top. It looks like it has a little O-ring there. It looks like it's just a matter of screwing it on. And I imagine you could unscrew this to put it back in the bag if you wanted it to be a little tighter in the bag. Alright, I tried long pressing the power button. I'll try a longer long press on the power button. There we go. So it has lots of displays. It looks like the battery has 3 out of 4 bars here. It currently says PSI is at 36 for a car, so I assume that's one of their smart preset settings where it'll go up to 36 PSI and then stop. So I'm going to read the manual and find out about all the modes. Operation. You press and hold the power button for 3 seconds, which feels like a long time, but then pops up. It has the pressure that's in whatever this is attached to, currently 0, and the pressure it's trying to reach. So there's a car mode, which is the default 36 PSI, and if you want different measurements other than PSI, you push this button. You can do bar, you can do kilopascals, kilograms per centimeter squared. I'm just going to be using PSI here. So they have car mode, which is 36. They have kind of moped motorcycle mode at 34, bicycle mode at 30, and then sports balls at 8. You can also push one more time to get to DIY. Maximum possible is 150. So if you want to adjust that, you can push the minus button or the plus button for tenths of a PSI. If you push and hold, it'll start to go faster, and so you can, dial in a very particular, rating here that you're looking for. So there's 119, for example. And so if you push this button, just a short push, it'll start or stop the compressor. So it also has an LED light right here. To turn that on, this button that normally cycles through the different pressure types, you can push and hold that, and if you push and hold it for long enough, that light will turn on. When the lights are on, if you push the button, it'll go into an SOS flashing mode. Push it again, it'll go to a solid light mode. To turn it off, you have to push and hold. And once the light is turned off, when you push this button, it will then readjust the type of pressure units you're using. So this is a little portable air tank that's used to kind of fill up one car tire. So it might be a little more volume than your typical car tire, but not a whole bunch more. I'm just going to fill this up to 36 psi to get a feel for, how fast 19 liters per minute really is. Alright, that guy just kind of snaps on, and this guy here might actually kind of just hang off your tire depending on where your valve stem is. It is 254, and we're going to start this guy up. Alright, so that was less than 4.5 minutes, and I like the fact that it turns off automatically when it's done, so you could just leave this on a tire and let it go to town on its own. So this gauge says 36, my no more reliable little tiny gauge here says about 38, so it's in the right ballpark. Alright, this guy claims to go up to 150 psi. My little barrel here, the gauge starts turning red just after 120. So I'm going to only use this to go up to 120 psi and just see how well it does with that. Alright, this guy has been compressing for about 12 minutes. It's up to 66 psi. And it's getting kind of hot, mostly on this right-hand side here. The most heat is coming in the metal connection point here, and it says 185, although putting my fingers on it, it definitely is hot, but I can put my fingers on the rubber sheath that's there. So I'm not sure if it's actually 185, because I can put my fingers on it and they're not, it's uncomfortably hot, but it's not like burning my fingers like I would expect there at 185. Alright, so the precautions say, when inflating, physical heating will occur due to high pressure operation. Please be careful when removing the air tube and it will burn your hands. So yes, I did see high temperatures on the air tube. It's underneath a piece of silicone, but when you unscrew it, there's some metal exposed. Alright, it shut itself down, and it got up to 69.3 psi. So that was about 16 minutes overall of compressing time. Use it continuously for about 15 minutes. It is recommended to wait 5 to 10 minutes before continuing to use it. So yes, about 16 minutes in, it went to a high temperature shutdown and just shut itself down. This guy's saying it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and putting my hand on it, it definitely feels like it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It says 127 on the back, and yeah, it definitely feels warm on the back. And there's a piece of metal underneath this silicone here, and I can feel heat through the silicone. So basically it's heated up significantly from all of that work it did, and it's refusing to turn on until it cools down again. So I think this guy on a single battery charge would definitely fill up a car tire, because it got this guy, you know, well above 60 psi. Now, they do include this 12-volt adapter cable, which is about 11 feet long, and it'll run off of that even if the battery's not charged. So the cable plugs into your cigarette lighter, then plugs into that thing there. And I have a decent amount of reach here to get to the rear tire from the center console of my car. It's a relatively compact car, but I have a little of extra room here, so you know, it may not do a full-length bed pickup truck, but pretty much most sedans it should be able to reach the tires. Now, it doesn't give me any visual indicator that it's charging the battery off of the 12-volt supply, so it might be to charge the battery you have to do that with the USB-C port. You can't do it with the 12-volt supply. Alright, it looks like if you push and hold both the mode button and the unit change button together, push and hold for like 5 seconds. And then release, this will start flashing, and it's currently set to 4.0, sorry, it's currently set to 8, but the pressure is actually at 12. So if I adjust this guy up to be higher than 12, like to 16, it doesn't appear to turn on automatically, but if I push the go button, alright, so it gets it up to 16, and now if I release pressure, it'll auto start and go back up to 16. Alright, so it does appear to have a functioning pressure maintenance mode, which is useful for like airbrushes or maybe a paintball gun or something where you're trying to maintain a particular pressure. Getting into it is a little tricky. The manual was incorrect. The manual is just wrong on how to get into that mode. Now, I have not found a way to get out of the mode other than just turning it off and holding the button for 3 seconds for the power button, which seems like a reasonable way to get out of it. So I'm going to run this guy down until it turns off, because we're almost out of battery here. I just want to run it down and see how much power it takes to charge it back up. Alright, it was going and it just turned off completely, like the screen turned off and everything. So I'm going to turn it back on again, see if it'll turn on. So it turned back on. And now we have 0 battery bars here, and then it turns itself back off. So we've run the battery all the way down. I'm going to charge it up with the USB-C port input, and we'll have a meter on it to see how much power it takes to charge it up. And that'll be a good indication of the amount of capacity of the battery. Alright, fully charged, it took 24 watt hours. So I'm testing the ability to use the USB out port here. Now it does have to be turned on, so the display has to be turned on before you get 5 volts out of the USB port. And it will not provide 2 amps at a full 5 volts. So here I have it drawing say 2.08 amps, and the voltage is sagged down to 3.75 volts. It starts to sag below 5 volts about the 1.5 to 1.6 amp area. So it looks like this guy can deliver 7 watts of output, which is reasonable for emergency charging a cell phone or running a small little like USB fan or light, something with a relatively low draw. So I reset the watt hour here, and we're going to just run this guy out and see how many watt hours it can provide, just kind of as a USB power bank. Alright, we've ran this guy all the way down using the power from the USB port. There's 0 battery bars there. Alright, output, it delivered 13 watt hours of power. Okay. So this guy will run for about 15 minutes before it hits its high temperature thermal cutoff. The battery runs it longer than that, so I ran it all the way to the thermal cutoff and then a little bit more after it cooled down. So I'm pretty confident that you can get 1 tire aired up, at least, a normal sized car tire aired up with this guy. It's not, the fastest compressor in the world. This is a tiny little travel compressor you keep in your car, but it seems to be pretty decent. If you have a flat at the side of the road and you were able to, fix a small puncture, this would fill your tire back up. Even if you have just like a slow leak, you could fill it back up and drive somewhere safer to deal with it. And if the battery were to run out, it runs perfectly fine off of this cigarette lighter adapter. So as long as your car isn't super long, this will reach any of the 4 tires from your car, plugged into a dash cigarette lighter or power port. I like the fact that it has the extra LED light here, so you might need a flashlight on the side of the road at night, so that's an added feature there. It also, if the battery's full, you can charge a cell phone or something. You get maybe 1.5, maybe up to 2 amps off of that 5-volt USB port, but something is better than nothing if you're in an emergency situation. It does get hot, so after you fill up a tire, this metal part inside of this silicone thing here, you wouldn't want to touch that for a while out until it's cooled down. So it does everything it says it's supposed to do. The pressure maintenance mode, the button combination to get into it was a little different from what the manual said, but I was able to get into it and worked. It works pretty darn well as a small mini air compressor. Obviously, it's not going to replace a giant shop air compressor. If you're looking for something to keep in your car to fill up a tire on the side of the road, this guy looks like a pretty good offering. Now, $70. That seems a little high, but build quality, it feels pretty darn good. It basically does everything its specification says it should do. You might be able to find something a little cheaper than this that has kind of the same quality and same performance, but I feel pretty confident saying that, yeah, this guy's a decent little car auto compressor.